I hope you enjoyed your 4 verses of Mashakli that you were counting the letters and letter clusters in. As you can imagine, doing 4 chapters of the Gospel of John could be quite labor intensive. If you have several people counting, it can take up to half a day just to do a letter count. So we do have a JavaScript program that can do the same basic letter count. This is for your Roman-based scripts. If you're not using a Roman-based script, then the letter counting process is, you have to go back to the hand count way. Primer-builder.literacyevangelism.org. The link to this should be in your lesson section. You will also need available to you the Mashakli language data worksheet document and the Gospel of John. So both of these should be available to you as well. You want to have all of that open as we look through this next section. So you'll notice on Primer Builder, there you have the vowels, the vowel clusters, consonants, consonant clusters, punctuation marks like you have on your language data worksheet, that first page. So you'll be using those categories. Also allowed words, and what this means are these are words that you do not want to count the letters in. So these are words that you're just kind of allowing to pass through without doing a letter count on. And these might be borrowed words or words that have some unusual things in them that aren't a normal part of the language. You also see on this section the text, and this is where you're going to put in the digital text, whether Gospel of John or whatever other text you're working with. So we're going to go over to our Acrobat Reader and look at our Mashakli language data worksheet. So this is the alphabetical order. We don't need to use that. So first we're going to take our vowels. So you can just highlight the vowels and you're going to copy those, either keyboard things or you can go up to your edits and copy. And then you're going to go back over to your Primer Builder and you'll put in your vowels. And then we want vowel clusters. Go back over to Mashakli data. You can copy. And put vowel clusters in. And now our consonants. Do the same thing there. In this case, we don't have any consonant clusters in the Mashakli, but we do have our other marks that make up our written text. We're going to put these there, and that just allows the program to know don't count these with words. You notice that we have spaces in between each of our letters. Don't use commas, you just need a space in between there. All right, so now go over to your Gospel of John. And in this case, we'll just copy a fair section of it. Or a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just do select all and copy. And then you can go back to Primer Builder, put in your text. It takes them a minute when it's that big of a file to go in, hopefully. Maybe I didn't get it copied good. Still copying, sorry about that. So we'll just take this moment. Okay, so then you're going to go back over to your Primer and copy your text into that. Okay, now we have our Mashakli text in there. And so now once you have your data information in, your letter information, and you have your text in, you can just click process, and then the program will count your letters. So we just give it a moment to do its processing, and there we go. All right, so you can see here it's showing you the vowels that were counted and the number of each vowel, the vowel clusters, the number there, the consonants, and the number of consonants that were there. So if you go scroll on down to a little bit lower, so the chunk is the letter or the letter group that we're working with. So this now is your letter count as it goes from frequency, from most frequent to least frequent of all of our letters that we have there. So you can compare that to what you did. Now, granted, you just did four verses of Mashakli, but you should see a fairly close comparison here. Now, all words here, these are the words that were actually counted. So you can see how many times they were counted, how many times they occurred in the text, and the structure of the word. So you can always go down through here and make sure that you've got all of your letter clusters in appropriately, because sometimes you'll say, oh, that's not right. And so you'll look and see that you had something not quite right there. So you can see down through here. So this helps you to also know some of the more frequent words in the language and that are there, and can help you make some choices then for writing stories and things later on. Now, when you see this disallowed words here, remember our allowed words are words that we were not counting. Disallowed words, the wording choice here is poor, but it works. So the disallowed words are the words that we did count. So we had 688 unique words in that Gospel of John text. So that lets you know kind of what we were looking at with that. Now, some of these words were like the page numbers or the verse numbers, those kinds of things. So those don't really count in what we're doing. So as you go through that, you can try that and see how that works. And you can save it then if you right click. Then you can save page as. So you can save it as a web page, so you can put the name of the primer or the language and the primer builder, and then that way you have access to that data in the future. I'm not going to actually save it right now. The other thing you can do is you can, if you want to have just the frequency, you can go through and just scroll down. But you don't need all of that. Okay, so you can scroll down and just copy, and then you can copy and paste into a Word document or something, and you have that. Now, the other nice thing that you can do with some of this is as you go through your Bible stories and things, you can put your data in there or the original stories that the team's using, and you can look and see how many words they've used, what unique words they've used. So this is another tool that can help you in the writing portion that we'll talk about in the next lesson. So hope you've enjoyed this, and it's been fun showing you how to work with that.